What's going on, guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing another first impressions video, and we are covering Monster Hunter Stories 2. Now, I know this is an odd one because Monster Hunter is a game that I've always kind of been curious about, but just never took the time to kind of hop into. And I remember when Monster Hunter's World was on Xbox Game Pass, and I probably should have hopped on it then, but you know, it's always one of those games that's in the back of my mind, like I'm gonna play that one day. Like I think right now with the Nintendo Switch we have Monster Hunter Rise, and a lot of my friends are on that. But Monster Hunter Stories is apparently a spin-off of the Monster Hunter series, and it's a series of RPGs. So it's not necessarily like the free roaming hack and slash action of the original Monster Hunter, but instead it is more of a game focusing in on deep exploration, storytelling, so on and so forth. So Monster Hunter Stories 2, I saw this during Capcom's E3 presentation. If you saw that video, you know that was one of my standout games. It's just something about it that just really appealed to me. And apparently the original game was on 3DS and I didn't know anything about it. So if you guys played Monster Hunter Stories 1, drop a comment down below and let me know if that is worth a look at. But Monster Hunter Stories 2, Capcom put out a demo on the eShop, a pretty lengthy demo. I just got done wrapping it up and I think I clocked it like 3 hours and 30 minutes, something around that time frame. So as you guys look at the footage here, I'm just going to kind of chop it up so you can kind of see different parts of the demo. But right into it, the minute that we get into the demo, you're greeted with this great title screen kind of showing off the scope and having this great music play. It is fantastic. And even, during the opening sequence, the music just really caught my attention. The vocal track that they played at the very beginning was just fantastic. Now, one thing I was very shocked by, well, I shouldn't say shocked, but one thing I was really pleased to see. By the way, guys, I'm doing this unscripted, so if it sounds a little unpolished, that's why. But one thing I was pleased to see was the fact that we have a character creator. Now, you can pick between male and female, and then the character creator kind of gives you some good options. Of course, you can kind of manipulate and change some of the facial characteristics, but you can also change skin tones, hairstyles, so on and so forth. So this kind of adds a bit more customization to your mute character, and I thought that was a nice touch. So I definitely took advantage of the character creator, kind of explored all the options with that. So I love that. We kind of touched on the music, and I have some notes here on my phone I'm kind of looking at just for reference, so we kind of keep it moving. The music I love, like when you're exploring the overworld or, just listening to the music while, dialogue is going on. I found the music to be very relaxing, very atmospheric. I love what I heard so far. I know some people said the music didn't really stand out to them, but, when it comes to RPGs, to me, music is just as important as everything else when it comes to the game, because you're going to be listening to that while you're exploring, and you're going to be listening to that while you battle enemies and so on and so forth. So far, the soundtrack is kind of checking all the boxes for me, and I'm liking what I'm hearing so far. The standout track for me, obviously, is the opening vocal track. I love that track so much. The vocals was great. I love the opening sequence to the demo. It was fantastic. Now, as we kind of go into like the gameplay aspect of it, one thing that I did notice right off the bat is the game kind of suffered from a little bit of frame rate issues. Like I kind of noticed inconsistent frame rates, not only during the cutscenes, but also during certain areas of the game itself. So like when you're running through, I think it's called the Garden of Gaia or something like that. But when you're running through that, I'm noticing like the frame rates kind of stutter and it's a little bit slower. Kind of the same issue I had with Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Now, once you kind of get into the game, it's not that bad. I may be exaggerating a little bit, but it was something that I noticed, not only during cutscenes, but during certain segments of, the overworld. So just be mindful of that. Now, as far as the battle system, it is turn-based, but what I like about this battle system is very engaging. Number one, you can alter the speeds of how fast the battles go. So it's not just a set speed, because one thing about turn-based combat is that I prefer a much faster flow. So that's why I like Persona 5 so much, and games of that nature. But Monster Hunter Stories 2, they give you the option to alter the speed, which is great. You just hit the I think it's the plus button on the Nintendo Switch Pro controller, and you can go ×2, ×3, and I think ×3 is the highest you can go. But it definitely makes battles go by so much faster and makes it feel more kinetic. What I like about the battle system, and I'm not going to get too deep into this because I want you guys to go out and experience the demo for yourself, but it kind of goes off of I don't want to say like a rock, paper, scissors mechanic, but when you attack, you have three options. You have a power attack, a technical attack, and a speed attack. And all three of those attacks is when your enemy is targeting you, which you can see through like the straight line during battle. Depending on what they pick and what you pick, you guys can either counteract each other. It can become a draw, so on and so forth. Also, you have like your monster enemy, I was gonna say enemy, oh my god. You have your monster ally called monsties, which I assume are just monsters they're able to tame, or monsters that are friendly with humans. You have your monstie, and if you guys can like line up your attacks, you have like this super attack that you can pull off, which was really cool. So the battle system I felt was super engaging, and that is one thing that I look for in any turn-based RPG, is how engaging is the battle system. And while playing this, I wasn't bored. Like, I fought a couple bosses in the demo. I fought, you know, of course, the field enemies and monsters, and I just had a great time with the battle system. I love watching the super moves getting pulled off. So again, it's one of those things that I think is a little hard to explain, you know, but I think if you guys experience this demo for yourself, you'll see exactly what I mean. Now, going into outside of the battles, you know, one thing that I really appreciate with games like this, Xenoblade, so on and so forth, is the exploration aspect. And I think that's where the bulk of my time, once the full game comes out, that is where the bulk of my time is going to be spent. You know, exploring every nook and cranny of this open world, going into different monster dens, the rare monster dens, trying to get items and grinding, getting the best armor and weapons. And I think that is kind of the foundation of just regular Monster Hunter as well. But I definitely spent a lot of time in the demo just trying to go around and explore, you know, different corners of the hub world. And I feel like that is where the bulk of my time is going to be spent when I get the full game. And I'm definitely going to be buying this probably day one, because I really enjoyed what I played. So if you guys follow me over on Twitch, you know, I used to have a segment called JRPG Weekend. I may bring that back, and this is going to be the game that's going to break that back in. So I'm super excited for that, man. And like I said, I love the exploration aspect, you know, just being able to hop on your monstie and just ride all over these beautiful landscapes and try to find different secret items and stuff like that. So I thought that was really cool. And I like the dungeon crawling aspect of it. So when you go into like a monster den, you have to kind of navigate through and see if you can find like different, you know, monstie eggs that you can bring back to the village and hatch and have more party members. You know, I just love the overall exploration of it. Now, speaking of exploration, this is going to be the last point because I don't want to keep you guys here too long, but one thing that I really appreciate, which is a nice detail, is when you open the map, it kind of shows footprints of the areas that you've already explored, which I found that fantastic when I was inside of a monster den. So therefore, it kind of prevents me going to repeat areas because I forgot where I tracked before. So the fact that they have like the little footprints on the map and it kind of shows where you've been already, I think that's going to be super helpful, and it's going to help push the game forward in terms of like, you know, time spent while exploring. So just little quality of life aspects like that just makes this game fantastic, and I'm super looking forward to the full game when it comes out. Monster Hunter Stories 2, ironically, is probably going to be the first Monster Hunter title that I play, even though it's a spinoff. So let me know down in the comments what you think. If you're a fan of Monster Hunter Stories 1 and or 2, drop a comment, let me know. And guys, recommend me some Monster Hunter titles, because I really enjoyed what I played here, and I know the mainline Monster Hunters play completely different from Stories, but I'm kind of interested in the franchise now. So if you have some good recommendations for a beginner, you know, let me know what game is the best to kind of jump into. You know, some people say Rise, some people say World, but I want to know your guys' opinion. All right, with that being said, guys, have a wonderful night, and I'll see y'all next video. Peace.